All right, so welcome to the Britlit Book Club. I'm excited that you're here. I've got Graham and Maria do you want to tell me because I know you've got two separate companies, so you tell me the names so I don't get them wrong.
Sure. So I'm Miss Lemon, I'm known as, from English Riviera Custom Tours. And we have two very similarly named business. So I'm English Riviera Custom Tours and Graham is...
English Riviera walking tours.
Love it.
So
Yeah.
I take out guests from all over the world, and for some special guests, I often dress up as Hercule Poirot.
Love it. Yes. We got the pleasure of having both of you on our tour in October, and it was so much fun. So much fun.
Well, I'm glad you
Yeah.
enjoyed it. Yeah, it was great to have you and have people who were so enthusiastic
Uh,
about the subject as well of Agatha Christie, which is fantastic.
Yeah,
We
absolutely.
were, but we
Yeah.
learned so much. Like I thought, okay, I know quite a bit, but I learned a ton.
Good.
The nice thing is
Okay.
you got to see all the various touch points as well that connect to Agatha. That's really important when
Yeah.
people come to Torquay. It's not just a case of going out with us. It's about seeing everything
Yeah.
that
Yes.
connects to Agatha Christie to get the full experience.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I loved that you had pictures and visuals and stories, and it was so much fun. Okay, let's get into our first question. So, Graham, you sold your business in 2019, right before COVID. Good timing.
Yeah, it was
planning
tremendous time.
planning a quiet retirement, and then a single walking tour in London with Maria changed everything. Tell us that story. What was it about your experience that made you think, I need to do this? And Maria, you were also there on that London tour that sparked all of this. Did you see it coming before Graham did? And how did you end up becoming Miss Lemon?
Okay.
Well,
Let Graham go first.
the first bit is quite easy actually. Our children had fled the nest here. They'd flown off to university, so we started to spread our wings, and we decided to go up to London and we booked ourselves onto a walking tour, and we paid £20 each. There was about 30 people on the tour, and at the end of the hour and a half, we then went off and had some lunch. And then when we came back, we saw the same tour guide again with another 20, 30 people, all giving him £20. So we thought, hang on,
Like,
this guy's made a lot of money in the space of one day. And I thought, well, I didn't think he worked particularly hard to get that money either. This is my type of business. So I came back to Torquay and introduced myself to the Visitor Information Centre here. I said, look, do you have a tour guide? And they said, well, actually, we haven't. The lady who used to do it has just, she's packed up her bags now. She's retired. And we're looking for someone to take her place. So it was like serendipity. I'd come in just at the right time. So I then started preparing a number of walks. And during the COVID, so I was quite fortunate, we had that time to prepare the walks. But I was asked by the Visitor Information Centre, could I create an Agatha Christie walk? Now, at this point, I knew very little about Agatha Christie. And it was only by then doing the research that I discovered that there was some really interesting stories around her life. So rather than try and read every novel, there were 66 crime novels. And if you read one a month, it would take you 5 years to finish them. I didn't have 5 years. And so I thought, what I'll do is I'll focus on her life. And that really opened up a huge area of interest, and it really pulled me into Agatha Christie. And from that, I've been doing the tours. In fact, I've just done one this morning from people all over the world, telling the story of Agatha Christie, and it's worked incredibly successfully for us. But we did discover there's a lot of people like yourselves, actually, who originally contacted me and said, we want to go for a walk, an Agatha Christie walking tour, but you wanted to do other elements. And that was the point where I said, well, I can't do that because I just don't have the time, but I know somebody who might be able to. Over to you, Maria.
Absolutely. So I sort of appeared on the scene, if you like, 3 or 4 years later. So I've worked in various roles myself. I was still working at the time when Graham was doing this. But I have to say, I came home to more and more, but you could do this. You could do this. You know, I've been asked this. You could do this. And it just drew me in the end. I found myself reading Agatha's autobiography and thought, wow, what a woman. So like Graham, I was really interested in her. And so from that, we thought, well, actually, let's sort of keep our businesses separate, really, because it's not a bad thing to run them in parallel, really. And what I was also very aware of was there was no female guides around. There were other guides that worked with tour groups, which Graham wasn't doing at that time. In our research, they were all male. And it just made me think that maybe there is a little gap in the market for women who travel alone or just travel as couples that would feel a little bit more anxious about going out with men all day long.
Yeah, this is a common problem that I face. You know, I run women only tours, and I'm always looking for female guides, and it's very, very hard to do. So
it is.
So I appreciate that.
Yeah. So basically that's where it came from. So when I sat down and put my website together, I was very much wanted to create it as tour chapters. So each of my tours are chapters in people's own travel story. And the obvious thing to do was be Miss Lemon, who was always very known for her efficiency. So helping to organise these tours for people, and then working alongside Graham, it seemed a really good fit.
I love that. I love that you're working together. It's like my dream someday. My husband would love that. He's busy with his own job, but every time I go on a tour, he's like, I'm going to do this with you someday.
Well, you can guess what the pillow talks are about, can't you?
Well, I'm like you. I didn't really know too much about Agatha Christie until I wanted to run this Agatha Christie tour. And I read the Lucy Worsley biography, and I really didn't know anything about her life. And I was just so fascinated. And then obviously going on your tours and learning even so much more was just so incredible. She really was such an amazing woman.
Certainly was.
Well, Lucy Worsley is a great starting point for anyone who wants to get into Agatha Christie.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's one of the finest historians in this country, and she is a huge fan of Agatha Christie. So, it's an easy read if people want to start off with Agatha Christie.
Yes, her books read so well. I love her Jane Austen one too, and anything that she does on TV as well. So good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Needs to be presented.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, let's chat Agatha Christie. So there's no doubt that Agatha is enjoying a little bit of a renaissance. Tell me what's going on with that.
Well, it's remarkable what's happening down here. There is so much going on around Agatha. When we first started, there really wasn't a lot going on down here. But I think I've been doing this for 8 years now, and there's certainly a lot more businesses who are buying into the Agatha Christie and seeing the commercial value of working with her. So at the moment, she sells, about 5 million books a year, approximately.
Crazy.
But that is going up and up, and guests literally travel from every corner of the world now to come and hear Agatha Christie's story. Most recently, last year, we had the Agatha Christie seat, which you have sat on. In fact, you were one of the first people to sit on it. It has now become the most popular seat in Torquay. Her hand has become quite worn already because people are touching her. And we always tell the guests to rub, because her dog's ears, Peter, who's sat next to her, so those ears have become quite worn as well. And then we've got the Agatha Christie Festival. We have a small festival in April, which has just started. We just finished it this year. And then the big one in September, which is the 12th to the 20th of September, with a lot of people from America coming over for the event. And then the other great news is that the pavilion, which you would have seen when you were here last time, that is currently under renovation, and the hope is that will become the Agatha Christie International Centre. And so this will be the place where people can come to really celebrate Agatha's life, where we have plays and debates and events and weddings and tea dances, all these sort of things that you would associate with Agatha Christie. So these are just some of the many things which are happening. I mean, just to give you a really good example, where we started our walking tour with you, right on the corner, just literally 50 yards away, is a place called Offshore. And Offshore, after a conversation with the manager, what they've now done is they've really bought into Agatha Christie as well. So they now produce Agatha Christie's favourite meal, which was lobster followed by blackberry ice cream.
Which we ate. We ate that on our tour. It was delicious.
Yeah. They also do an Agatha Christie afternoon tea. And they have Agatha Christie themed cocktails as well. The Agatha Christie one being a mocktail because she never drank alcohol, but the other three are alcoholic. So that's just one example again of how local businesses are buying into the Agatha Christie name and using it to give people an even better experience when they come down here.
But it's the wide reach of her that's, as you mentioned, is definitely going under a renaissance. So the fact that the likes of Lucy Worsley are still studying her, the fact that Kenneth Branagh is still creating films, Death on the Nile, etc., all those more recent films, the fact that the latest Mr. Men books have been created with Marple and a Poirot character. There is so much going on, and Graham, you even discovered a very bizarre one, didn't you? It was one of your Walking Tall guests told you that there is a Russian rock band.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
So I was dressed as Poirot and at an event, and these guests approached me and said, "You know that Agatha Christie is huge in Russia, don't you?" I said,
"Wow."
I said, "I had no idea she was speaking Russian." They said, "Oh yeah. We've actually got a rock band in Russia, which is called Agatha Christie. They've changed their name to Agatha Christie."
That is so funny.
So if your listeners, if you go onto Google, type in Agatha Christie rock band Russia, you'll find them on there, and they are one of the biggest bands in Russia. You'll find people connecting to Agatha Christie.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That is so funny. I love those little literary connections. I was talking with a friend who went to P.E. Island, which is where Ella Montgomery lived and wrote Anne of Green Gables. And she was saying that in Japan, after World War II, there was this huge Anne of Green Gables. Everybody in Japan was very into it. So they have a lot of Japanese tours. They have like an Anne of Green Gables amusement park in Japan. So it's just so interesting to see this literature travel, decades later. It's fascinating to me. So, and that's the beautiful thing about literature. It lasts. It's not like a TV show, it sticks around.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
She'll be going well beyond after we've finished our time.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of TV shows too, have been so many new ones that I've seen, on BritBox and Prime come out. Adaptations.
Netflix have now taken on all the adaptations.
Yes.
And put them on there. So this opens up a huge market for Agatha Christie as well.
Yeah. I think that a lot of people, I think that's their first introduction really to Agatha Christie is, not really the books necessarily, but maybe a TV show or a movie that they've seen. And
sure.
Absolutely.
That's right, exactly right.
Yes. And in fact, it's very close to your visit, actually, when you were down last year, that it was only a few days before that at Burr Island they were filming yet another Agatha Christie.
Love it.
It just continues and continues, and it's just amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. I know my son, when he was like 10, I think I took him to see Death on the Nile, and that was his introduction to Agatha Christie. So.
Yes.
That's a good one. A good introduction.
In fact, we've just seen the posters have gone up this week for Towards Zero.
Yes.
The play is coming to
Torquay. They're doing a play. I saw the show.
Yes.
Oh, that's exciting.
And then we have the Mousetrap coming here in September for the festival.
That's amazing. I love that. We did see that on our tour. At the end of our tour, we saw that in London, and it was such a nice way to tie it all in, because we went to Torquay at the beginning and Burr Island, and then we came at the very end on our very last day and saw the Mousetrap. So that was really neat.
Perfect.
Yes. Yeah. Did you ever see Witness for the Prosecution?
We did on my July tour. We saw Witness for the Prosecution and the old courthouse and the old seats, and that was really neat. That was really neat.
Yeah.
I wish that I hadn't read the book before, or the play. It's like a small book, I guess. I wish that I hadn't read it before I saw the play, because I was like, oh shoot, I already know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So if anybody goes to see that, don't read it first. So
yes.
I'm impressed you can remember, because that's the bit I never can, because it's never who I think it is.
I know.
And even if I've reread it, I still get it wrong. So well done.
It wasn't until about halfway through the play I was like, oh yeah, I remember. Even the Mousetrap too. I was like, oh yeah, I shouldn't have read this. Still so good though.
I've always enjoyed when they and then there were none to see the stage play, when you know what is happening.
Right.
And you see the 10 little icons up on the fireplace.
Yes, disappearing.
And one by one, they're disappearing. When we were watching it at our local theatre, I was specifically looking at that, and I could see a hand coming from behind and picking off one of the... Each one was, one by one, were being removed.
That's funny. Good catch. Good catch. All right.
But, Witness for the Prosecution was Agatha's favourite play as well, so... and you can understand why when you go to the show, just how good it is.
Yeah, it was very well done. Is it still playing in London?
Yep,
Wow.
it is. So I'd say to your guests, if you said which play should we go and watch, I would always recommend Witness
Yeah.
for the Prosecution ahead of Mousetrap.
And I think Mousetrap is going to be there for a long time still.
Oh,
I
it
don't
will
think it's not going anywhere. So
No, no, no,
Yeah,
no.
so-
see witness while you can while it's still there.
Yeah.
But and
Yes.
the setting, just the setting itself is so cool to be in the old
It is, isn't it?
courthouse,
Yes.
and
Yes.
Yeah.
that was
Don't,
really
don't be
amazing.
tempted to sit up in the top seats. Tell your guests to pay a little bit more and sit at the bottom seats where
Sit in
the
the-
actors will be moving amongst you,
Yeah.
or be a member of the jury.
The jury
That's it.
box, yes.
Yeah.
I really wanted to do the jury box, but there weren't enough seats for my whole tour, and I didn't want to be like, oh, you get to be in here and you don't. So, but it was really amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so Agatha was a very shy lady all of her life. Can you give us some examples of this?
Well, yes. I mean, Agatha, it's quite surprising actually for someone who was so famous that she was so shy.
Right.
But I'll give you a lovely example of that. When she was 18, she and her mother travelled to Cairo for what was called the debutante season. And Agatha was there for 3 months. She went to lots of the parties. And in her autobiography, she says, I got to know 20 or 30 men reasonably well. Read into that whatever you want. But on this particular occasion, she had a dance with a British officer. And at the end of the dance, he took hold of Agatha's hand, wandered her over to Agatha's mother and said, Mrs. Miller, your daughter dances beautifully, but perhaps you could teach her to talk. And this is how quiet Agatha was. She said in her autobiography, inarticulate I will always be. So she found
For a writer to say that, right?
yeah. So she found it much easier to express her thoughts in writing than verbally. There's when she was at finishing school in Paris, for instance, her mother sent her there. And the plan was that she was going to become a professional pianist, and this is when she was between the ages of 16 and 18. But she then discovered that as soon as she was on the stage by herself, with no one else around her, and with lots of people watching her, she just froze, and she suffered from stage fright, and she just couldn't do that. And the other occasion, which was when she was coming towards the end of her life, was when she had to make a speech to mark the 10th anniversary of the Mousetrap, which by then in 1962 was the longest running play in the world, and she felt compelled to make a speech. And it starts off like this: I never have been any good at making speeches, and usually someone has come to the rescue and made my speech for me, but no one will help me tonight, so I'm going to have to do it myself.
I love that. And she was so famous by then too,
Yes,
This wasn't like she was
72,
brand
it's
new.
world famous, yes, and she just did not want to do it. So those are some 3 very good examples all throughout her life at different stages of how shy Agatha was. She never grew out of it.
Wow. It's pretty incredible for someone so famous and so accomplished.
Yes,
Absolutely.
indeed, yes. It wasn't something she felt comfortable doing.
Can you talk a little bit about how she met her first husband?
Yeah, well, the first husband was Archibald Christie. Agatha herself, she came from a very wealthy family. She was quite tall for her. Back then, she was 5'7" tall. And in her lifetime, 11 men asked to marry her.
Wow.
Which, yeah, I haven't met any other women on the tour who said, well, actually, I've had more than that. But 11 is a heck of a lot of men to get down on one knee and propose to her. But she accepted 2. And one of them was Archibald Christie. She met him at a party here in Torquay in 1912. She was 22. And he was a very fine dancer. He was also one of the very first pilots in this country. And the other thing I think that really Agatha felt why she liked him so much is he had a motorbike. And so 3 months after that meeting, they came to our pavilion and they watched a concert. And at the end of the concert, the pilot proposed to Agatha, and Agatha said yes. So in those days, they didn't hang around.
No.
He was 23 and she was 22 when they got engaged. And so that was when Archie came into their life. And then they married during the First World War. So he came back from the fighting in France at Christmas 1914. They married in Bristol and they had their honeymoon in Torquay at the Grand Hotel. And they only stayed there for 2 nights, and then he went back to the war.
Wow.
And amazingly survived the First World War, despite what was going on there. And then he that was they then unfortunately divorced after 14 years in 1928.
And they did have a daughter, right?
They had a daughter called Rosalind, yes, and so she came into their lives shortly after the First World War.
And we'll talk a little bit more about their whole breakup and her disappearance and all of that. So how did she arrive in Torquay, and why was Torquay so special to her, and how did it influence her writing?
Well, I think that one of the reasons why so many people from America come to Torquay is I think they recognize that Agatha herself was half American. So her father, he came from his grandfather, Nathaniel Miller, was based in New York. And when he died, and he was a very wealthy man, he was an entrepreneur trading in properties, this money was passed to his only son, Fred Miller, or his only child, Fred Miller. And Fred planned to settle his family in America. But he went overseas into Europe to do some business, and whilst he was away, Agatha's mother came to Torquay, fell in love with the town, saw a house that she liked, and when he came back from this journey, she convinced him not only to buy the house, but also this is where they will raise their children, and not in America. So that I'm so pleased she did this, because otherwise Agatha would be an American and I'd be out of a job. So this is one of the reasons we were very pleased that her mother made Fred raise his children in Torquay and not in America. And the house that they bought was called Ashfield. They bought it in 1880 for £2,000. So
wow.
Today's money about £2 million. But it was a beautiful house. It had views down to the sea, to Dartmoor at the back, a croquet lawn, a ballroom. Agatha called it a truly happy home. This is the home where she was born and raised for the first 30 years of her life. Her only child, Rosalind, was born and raised here. And the two men that she would marry both proposed to her at Ashfield. So Ashfield had a very, very strong pull, sentimental value, if you like, in Agatha's life.
It's not there anymore, right?
Sadly, it's not. No, I don't like to show guests the picture, but on the tour, but sadly, it was replaced in the 1960s by flats. And so there is nothing there to see, unfortunately.
Yeah, such a tragedy. I remember doing my research for this before I found you, trying to research Agatha Christie locations. And I was like, oh, that's not fun.
Yeah, there is nothing to see now. We walked around the building and there is literally nothing left.
They don't have do they have a plaque?
They have the blue plaque,
Yeah.
yes. Which just says Agatha lived here. Agatha described them as the ugliest little house I've ever seen, and I think that's a very fair description.
Sorry, people that live there.
Yes,
It may not be quite so pleased
I was
about
quoting
that, but
Agatha, of course.
Yes.
So
Okay.
yes, that's how she arrived in Torquay. That's how it came about.
And lucky you.
Very lucky,
Absolutely.
very, very lucky indeed. Yes.
Okay, Agatha enjoyed many pastimes such as tennis, croquet, horseback riding, acting, but especially swimming and surfing. Tell me more about that.
Well, I mean, having grown up here, surrounded by the sea, that was an extremely important aspect of Agatha's life. And from a young age, she really got into her sea swimming, which I'm delighted. In fact, if I remember rightly, you ladies decided you would jump in and swim.
We absolutely did. You took us early in the morning and we did our little cold plunge, and I still think about it.
Me too. And when I still swim there often. I swim there, at least once a week, and very much is a case of the fact that, I always think it's really special that was somewhere where Agatha enjoyed swimming, probably more than anywhere else. So you have actually been in that very spot. But,
It was amazing.
But I love of all her different sort of pastimes, the fact that she loved outdoor sports. The whole family were real outdoor people. The fact that she loves Dartmoor, and that was a very special place to her. But it was very much, of course, in pre-World War One. Beaches were segregated still, as I think we chatted about. The fact that there was a ladies-only beach, which was it was well known or well documented that the yacht club above Beacon Cove, the place where you swam, The gentlemen were known to be looking out the windows with their binoculars, watching the young ladies.
Of course they were.
down on the beach, which, thanks to bathing machines, they didn't get to see more than they should. But she very much enjoyed anything that's outdoors. Her horse riding was something that she first fell in love with over at Cockington. She would ride around the beautiful park there at Cockington, the family that she knew there well. But the surfing is an interesting one, isn't it? Because that was in Hawaii, Graham, wasn't it?
Yes, Agatha and Archie, they went on a trade mission in 1922 with a gentleman called Major Belcher, who was a real name. And he was the man in charge of this tour. That there was a major event that was taking place in London, and their task was to go and sell it to the British colonies. So they went to Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Canada. And on this journey, they went across to Hawaii. And it was in Hawaii that Agatha took up surfing and became the first European woman to stand up on a surfboard in Hawaii at the age of 33.
I love that.
Remarkable. I mean, to get to Hawaii today, 100 years later, is still considered quite a significant challenge. But she went there and she picked up a board and went surfing. I mean, again, not something you would expect a lady from her era to have done, but she was the first.
I'm trying to think about how she got to Hawaii. They must have gone on a boat, right?
They went by boat.
Trying to think like what route they would have taken to get there.
It's not an obvious one.
No, I can't even figure that out mathematically how she got there. But I used to live in Hawaii, so it's like I love that connection to her.
Yes. Well, they went away for 10 months, traveling around the world.
That's my kind of vacation, my kind of holiday.
Yeah. And she left a daughter behind as well.
Of course.
Who was 3 years old.
As you did in
these days. Yes, that's right. Yeah.
I know. We had a lot of people in our book club as we were, reading her biography. They're like, she just left her daughter at boarding school. I'm like, I think that was fairly common, right? I mean,
very common.
Probably, yeah.
I
think that was fairly common back then.
Used to do it. Still do it. I think still today.
Yeah. But Agatha didn't. She didn't go. Well, I guess she went to finishing school, right? But I mean, the most of her childhood, she was at Ashfield, right? Kind of.
She was. Yeah, she was homeschooled for most of her early life, which again was quite unusual. Well, I guess people did have a governess, etc. But the fact her brother and sister went away to traditional boarding schools and she didn't. Yeah. But she actually sort of suggests that idyllic childhood that she often talked about, where she was at home and she had time to make up stories and play in the garden and invent, different scenarios, is probably why she is as creative as she became. So who knows what difference it might have been had she gone to a traditional school. Yeah,
I mean, that's another reason I love her. I've homeschooled all of my kids, so I think about that. Like, I like to see people in history that were quote unquote homeschooled, and gives me hope for my children. And they are all very creative, but I'm like, I hope they can also make money someday like Agatha Christie too. That'd be great.
So yes, so she had she was certainly very somebody who was prepared to go out there and make things happen. Nothing got in her way.
I love that. Love her spirit.
Yes.
All right, how did Agatha discover poison?
Oh, what a good question. Well, Agatha loved poison. She loved it more than any other writer. She used it more than any other writer to kill her characters. She said, give me a bottle of poison and I will create the perfect crime. But she discovered poison during the First World War. She volunteered initially when the First World War started in 1914 to work as a nurse at our town hall. She did that for 2 years voluntarily. Then in 1916, she moved to the pharmacy, which was attached to the hospital. And this is where she saw jars of poison and she could see what they could do to people. And the thing that she liked about it, she says that poison appealed to her because it didn't have the crudeness of a revolver or a blunt instrument. It's a woman's weapon of choice. And as I say, she killed a lot of characters with poison. And I often challenge my guests when they come on the tour to try and work out in which room did she use the poison? Where did most of her characters get killed? I'm not going to give you the answer to that. You're going to have to come on the walking tour.
No, I'm trying to remember what you said. I'm gonna have to. I'll ask you when we're done recording.
So yes, poison was her the something that she used all the time, and it was usually to linked to money as well. Money was the main cause for people to carry out the murder.
Speaking of murder, tell us how she met her second husband. Just kidding.
Well, that 1926 was a great year for Agatha. It was when the novel The Murder of Roger Ackroyd was published. And this is the book that took Agatha from being an average crime writer to the best in the world. And she would stay there for the rest of her life because of the ending of this book, which, again, I guess, Vanessa, you know the ending of this book. If you don't know the ending, we'll speak afterwards.
No, I know.
I'll tell you what the ending is. But 1926 was also the worst year on a personal level for Agatha because her mother, she died in that year. And also in that year, her husband, Archie, confessed to having an affair with a lady called Nancy Neal, who was 10 years younger than Agatha. And he demanded a divorce. So in the space of a very short period of time, Agatha lost her mother and then lost her husband. And I think it was these were the two key factors, but there were other factors as well that contributed to her basically having a breakdown, I think is how most people would interpret it. And she decided to run away. As you know, we'll come on to this in a little bit more detail. But about her breakdown. But she decided to get out of this country. She'd had enough. So she jumped on the Orient Express and she went all the way to Baghdad. And this is where she met her second husband. And he was called Max Mallowan. He was an archaeologist. And he had a car. And he offered to take Agatha to some of the more distant archaeological sites. And on one of these occasions, the car got stuck in the desert sand on a very hot afternoon. And he later confessed to Agatha. He said, at that moment, I decided you'd make an excellent wife. You didn't complain or say it was my fault. You seemed not to care whether we went or not. I began to think you were really wonderful. He was falling in love with Agatha Christie. And so he then... And Agatha returned to Torquay because Agatha had discovered that her daughter was not very well. So he came back with her. And Agatha was lying in bed one night. There was a knock on her bedroom door. Max came in and basically proposed to Agatha. And Agatha, it took her a little while to make a decision on it. She couldn't make it straight away because, well, for a number of reasons. It was too soon. This was very shortly after her divorce in 1928. There was also a religious difference. She was a Protestant, he was a Catholic, which 100 years ago was quite an important consideration. And the third and most intriguing one, which all the ladies find particularly fascinating, is that she was 14 years older than him. She was 40, he was 26.
I see no issue.
Now, at this point, there's usually a round of applause. Well done, Agatha. Good effort.
Although I'm 42, and I'm just thinking, yeah. Oh, yeah, good. Well done, Agatha.
Well done, Agatha.
Exactly.
Yes. So it was, I mean, you could imagine her family and friends were saying, Agatha, this was complete madness. The only reason he wanted to marry her was money, you know. But she and Max had very strong feelings for each other. And the other thing is Agatha had to consider her daughter. Her daughter was now 11 when all this was going on. And there's a lovely piece of social history, which I might have shown you, Vanessa, when you came out, was the letter that Agatha wrote to Max to let him know how Rosalind had reacted to a conversation between her and her mother. And basically, Rosalind gave approval for her mother to marry Max, provided he gave her some toffee lollipops.
I think that's fair. It's a fair trade at 11 years old.
Yes,
I like the fact that she was negotiating at an early age.
Yes,
I know. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that for her.
She bribed him. She bribed him with toffee lollipops. Yeah.
I love
And
it.
so they married in Edinburgh in 1930, and they stayed together for the rest of their lives, 45 years. Him on these trips to the Middle East, and she would photograph everything that was being discovered, and this inspired books like Murder on the Orient Express, Death on the Nile. They came to Baghdad. Murder in Mesopotamia is what she was seeing. and what she was hearing.
It's amazing. I love their love story. It's just one of my favorite parts of her story, that
Yes.
she had such a rough time and was able to find love again. And
Yes.
it was really sweet.
It worked so well. In fact, it worked well for Archie as well, because he, shortly after the divorce, married Nancy, the mistress, and they stayed together for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
34 years. So they each found their, as they said on Friends, their lobsters.
Yes.
Yes. Well, I mean, they did get married, sort of young and quickly, and there was a war on, and, I think
yes.
there's a lot of pressure, and you don't even know if you're going to survive. So,
Well,
I
exactly.
can see why there were a lot of those kind of marriages, and sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't,
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 2026 disappearance is the episode everyone fixates on, and there's even a new movie coming out about this, 11 Days, a missing car, a false name at a Harrogate hotel, and she never publicly explained it. After all your research, what's your personal theory about what really happened, and what do you think she was trying to escape from?
How long have you got?
I already know your opinion, but I want you to talk about it.
But in 1 minute.
Well, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think we look at it in a very modern way and a more understanding way. And I think there is no doubt that the experience that she had at that time, the loss of her mother, the indignity of a divorce, which, again, in that generation or that period of time was frowned upon. She'd had a rough time. So having read all of it and actually how little that she actually remarked on it herself, I think there is no doubt that she was suffering from depression and she had a breakdown. And I think the idea that some people believe that she staged the whole thing, that it was made up, it was a publicity stunt, knowing what we do know about Agatha, about her shyness and her personality, I just don't believe she would do that. She didn't need to do that. She was a wealthy woman. She did not need to create this publicity around her. So in my mind, and I think in yours, Graham, isn't it, there is no doubt that sadly what she had was depression, and she took herself off just to escape. She was a shy person. She, to get away from people would be a natural sort of flight instinct for her, I think.
It was amnesia that she claimed when people did it, when she was eventually discovered. She claimed that she'd lost her memory and that she had amnesia. And there's a lot of people on the tour who come on there and say, no, that was nonsense. The way this was a publicity stunt. She wanted to sell more books. And she did, by the way, sell considerably more books as a result of this disappearance. But I just want to read this to you, because the official medical description for what she had is called a fugue state. I don't know if you've come across this, Vanessa. It's something I'd not heard of before. I'd heard of amnesia, but not a fugue state. So I looked it up. I had to find out what this is. And it's caused by a traumatic event, like a death or a marriage breakdown. Well, both these things had just happened to Agatha. It results in a temporary memory loss. The person often travels away from the home. Well, yes, tick, she had just gone up to Harrogate. They can't remember who they are and will often adopt a new identity, which she did. She became Teresa Neal. So she took the surname of the mistress and claimed that she was from South Africa. So looking at this, it all seems to stack up to say that she was suffering from this fugue state, and because she's got all the symptoms there that she is showing. I've actually had a couple of people on the tour who've come out with me who have also had a fugue state as well, and they could totally relate to what Agatha had gone through. It's an unusual condition. Very few people suffer from it. But the other thing, which is, I think, quite amusing, is that I'm sure you've, and many of your listeners will have read her autobiography, which runs to 600 pages. But it is quite noticeable there is no reference to this disappearance. Why? Because she can't remember.
Yeah.
Genius.
But she probably doesn't want to talk about it either. I can't blame her. I think you're right, Maria, when you're talking about, like, we're seeing, looking at this from a modern perspective, we are obviously she's having a breakdown. I would have the same. Her mom died, her husband cheated on her and wants a divorce, and the societal shame that is probably upon her. It's obvious to us, but I guess back in the day, people were probably more, we talk about our mental health nowadays, but it just wasn't the done thing
Well, wasn't
back
ever talked
then.
about.
So
No, absolutely. And I think because there was that massive manhunt for her, the fact that there were 10,000 people involved in that, and it was the biggest manhunt in British history. It did cost a lot of money, if you like, to actually try and look for her, and all the resources that were brought in to look for her. So I think that naturally makes some people a little bit suspicious and angry, actually, that all these resources are being used. So I think they are more likely to side with the idea as a publicity stunt. But I just do not believe that a woman as shy as Agatha Christie would, and as wealthy as her in the first place, did not need to stage a publicity stunt. So this is very much an illness, and I think it's important that we recognise it as that.
I think if she'd wanted to take her life, she could have easily done it. She knew all about poison.
Absolutely.
She could easily finished it. She didn't have to go through all this adopting new characters and driving a car to a forest and catching a train and hiding away.
Yeah.
No, I don't get that. I think the Agatha Christie family as well, I've read, take this line as well, that she was suffering from this amnesia, a fugue state. This wasn't a publicity stunt. But as I say, there is a lot of people who don't believe that. I mean, again, if you just take her name, Teresa, the name that she adopted, if you rearrange the letters, you get teaser.
I don't think she could have foreseen the manhunt that was going to ensue on her either.
No.
I don't think that was her intent at all. I mean, how
Not
could
at
anybody? And Arthur Conan Doyle was also in on that, wasn't he? Didn't
He
he
was,
take her
he was.
glove to a psychic or something weird
Yes,
like that?
that's right. That's right. He got involved. Archie didn't get involved. Archie, by this stage, had been arrested by the police on the suspicion of the murder of Agatha Christie.
Yeah.
So he didn't get involved. But Conan Doyle did. He had this glove that he gave to a psychic, and she said, "No, she's not here. She's not at where the car is in the forest, but she's still alive." And so they kept looking.
She was right.
Yeah. They emptied all the ponds. They had sniffer dogs. They used aeroplanes for the first time to fly over the forest. Where has he buried her body? And there she was. She was up in Harrogate. She was whining, dining, having the time of her life. And she, even her autobiography, talks about playing a game of cards with some of the guests and talking about the disappearance of Agatha Christie. And they don't realise they're talking to Agatha Christie.
Yeah, a girl just needed a girls' trip,
Absolutely.
That's what she needed.
Yeah, a spa town is the place to go, isn't it? So,
yeah, I know. And she
that's
needed a spa trip with some girlfriends. Don't we all, right? Maria can relate.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm there.
Yeah. But she did sell, her sales did go up after that, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I'm glad that something so traumatic for her, she could have a benefit from it, I guess. So.
Yes.
Absolutely. It's got to be a trade-off somewhere, hasn't it?
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
The next couple of books that she wrote were Agatha considered were two of the worst that she ever wrote, and yet they outsold The Murder of Roger Ackroyd.
What were the two? Do you remember what the two
I
that
was
she
hoping you were
wrote
going to answer that. The Blue Train was one of them, and there was one other.
Was it the moving finger?
No, I can't
No,
remember. I can't remember off the top of my head. But
We'll have
We'll
to
have
look
to
that
look
up.
that up.
Yeah, look that up. Now I'm curious. Okay, speaking of sales and all that, she holds many literary records, like the longest running play, like we talked about, The Mousetrap, the best-selling novelist, and the most translated author. Let's talk about that for a minute.
yes. So the longest running play, The Mousetrap, it was started in 1952. It's due to run for just 8 months. It's still running today, 74 years later, over 30,000 performances. And if anyone's ever been to it, they will know the reason why it's so successful is at the end of the play, one of the actors comes onto the stage and speaks to the audience and says, "Now you've seen The Mousetrap, you're our partners in crime, and we ask you to hold the secret of you've done it locked in your heart and tell nobody." So once you've been to see it, you cannot tell anyone what or who the murderer is. And this is what's kept it going, and people keep going back time and again. There are a lot of people who've been to the show, forget who it is, and then go back again for a second or third time. So it wasn't Agatha's best play, but it's become this sort of must-see when you go to London. If any of your listeners come to London, this is one of the things they must do is go and watch the Mousetrap.
Love it. Yeah, we're seeing Oliver on our next tour because it's
love Oliver.
It's not been around for a while, but I'm
Yes.
encouraging, and we're seeing Paddington too, but I'm encouraging everyone to go see the Mousetrap before the tour starts so they can
Yeah.
get
Yes.
all of the
Yes.
literary plays in. So
Yes.
Good idea.
Yeah,
Good
that's
idea.
great.
That would be good for them.
She's also the best selling novelist in the world. So she's sold 2 billion novels approximately. That's 2,000 million. Now,
That's
here's
crazy.
something I discovered on ChatGTP. So again, your listeners can look this up because I didn't believe this. But if you took a typical Agatha Christie novel, the height of it is about 20 centimeters. If you stacked each one that she sold on top of each other, they would wrap around the world 10 times.
wow, that's insane.
Okay. That's insane. Or it would reach the moon and a bit beyond.
Wow.
That's how many books she sold. That is an incredible number of books. And so this makes her the best-selling novelist in the world. There's only Shakespeare and the Bible have apparently sold more books than her, but they weren't novelists. And what makes it even more impressive is she was a woman. Because a woman 100 years ago, very difficult to have their books published, so many women wrote as men. But Agatha always wrote as a woman, never as a man.
It was always Agatha Christie, right? 'Cause so many authors will have a pen name before, and it's pretty impressive that she just had her name out there from the very beginning.
Yes.
The beginning, yeah. I mean, she did actually write as Mary Westmacott as well.
Yes.
But it was still as a woman.
Yes.
Right.
So she never shied away from the fact that she was a woman, which, as Graham said, is quite a remarkable thing. Again, we're talking about a different generation, and it just wasn't the done thing.
Yeah.
And she's also the most translated author in the world as well. So half of her books have been translated into over 100 different languages.
Wow.
Which explains why so many people come to Torquay from all over the world, different parts of the world, to come and hear
Yes.
Storage. She's incredibly popular.
Definitely in Russian. with the
Russian.
rock band.
Yes.
I would never know.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm excited to go look that up.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about your tour. You've now completed over 1,000 tours and logged something like 4 million steps a year. Does the Christie walk ever feel routine, or does something new emerge every time?
No, I was speaking with some guests today about this, and I said I'm going to be doing this podcast with Vanessa, and I said one of the questions I've been asked is this particular question: do I get bored with it? And the answer is I don't, and there's quite a number of different reasons for why I don't get bored with it. But one of them was what this gentleman said to me after the tour today, and he said, Graham, do you know what? That was a really interesting tour. You had me all the way along, 3 hours listening to you. He said, I've never read an Agatha Christie novel. My wife has, and this is the reason we came on the tour. But I came along sort of not really knowing what to expect. And he said, do you know what? You converted me. Where can I buy an Agatha Christie novel? And I thought, that's it. I've done my job. And I think that's the thing that gives me a huge thrill is when I help to open up people's eyes to Agatha Christie, to understand the challenges that she faced as an author, and also on a personal level as well, and how she overcame them to become this remarkable author and playwright. And that's the thing that I really enjoy doing. But of course, because I often get asked the question, do you get bored with it? Well, I would say think of someone who plays golf, and they go to the golf club and play the same 18 holes every day or every week. Do they not get bored? Well, no, they don't, because everything is different. The ground may be different, the weather may be different, the people they're out playing against are different, and that's what it's like with me. Sometimes we're running between bus shelters to try and keep out of the rain, or at the moment we'll be standing under palm trees to try and keep cool, to keep out of the sun. And again, people ask you lots of interesting questions. They keep me on my toes, so it keeps my little grey cells active, which is what you need at a certain age of life. I get my 10,000 steps in, and I top up my Torquay tan. So for all these reasons, and just meeting people, that's the other thing, is you meet so many interesting people on the tour who all come from different backgrounds, who tell you their stories. And it's quite remarkable who we get to meet. Just ordinary people, but with, in many cases, some fascinating stories.
Yeah.
I love that. I get asked this question a lot too. Are you sick of running these tours? I'm
Yes.
visiting the same sites as well. I'm like, no, because it's And it's also seeing the joy in people's faces as they're seeing these sites for the first time. Yes, I've seen them like 20 times, but I get to watch other people experience them. And I think there's something special about that. So
I totally agree with you with that one. That's something that really resonates with me, because I've had people who've turned up to places like, particularly Burr Island is the one that does it, where I've had guests who just burst into tears the minute they see it. That I've had guests who have wanted to come there for over 60 years, 70 years sometimes, and it's always been their dream, it's their bucket list. And then there's people who had no idea it was in a book, so nothing is ever the same. And it is the people that makes that story, and it's just extraordinary, the people we meet. So it is a privilege what we do.
No, it is. We're very, very fortunate to do what we do. And I often say to my guests when they do ask me this question, I say, well, would you rather be sitting in front of a computer screen, or would you rather be out walking along the English Riviera telling Agatha Christie's story?
Yeah, meeting new people from all over the world. Yeah, I agree, 100%.
Yeah.
So
that's what keeps I think both of us going.
Absolutely.
Is that it's not mundane. You just each day you have no idea who you're going to be dealing with, and that's what makes it quite exciting.
Yeah.
Keeps it adventurous, right?
It does. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, different every day.
And I always, I like to, as you may remember, Vanessa, I tell lots of bad dad jokes on the tour as well.
we love the dad jokes.
Exactly, and that puts a smile on my face when you laugh at my awful jokes. And I always encourage guests to contribute to these awful jokes as well, and they do, and that just makes the tour even better. So. All these little things, I just, you don't get bored. No. That's the one thing you can say. You don't get bored doing this job.
I love it. Okay, so your tour description makes a point of saying, even if you've never read an Agatha Christie novel, it doesn't matter. That's a pretty bold statement. What do you want non-readers to walk away understanding about her? I know we've kind of already talked about this, but...
Yeah, just to reiterate what we've just said, which is that for people to say, do you know what, I had no idea about the story of Agatha Christie, and I have to be honest, before I started doing this job, I knew very, very little about her works or her life. So this has opened up a whole new world to me. And so all I'm doing is passing on my knowledge to other people, and hopefully with enthusiasm as well, for them to then go, do you know what, we want to do some of this. We want to go and see the films, or go into London and watch the Mousetrap, or read a novel. And for a lot of my guests who are traveling, they've come from America or Australia, wherever, and they're doing a lot of traveling. I said, well, you can listen to the podcasts now, which are fantastic. There's or just read. We went around Europe on a train last year. And so I got The Murder on the Orient Express. I decided to read that. I thought that was a very appropriate time.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's. I think there's nothing better than keeping people entertained for 3 hours, and at the end of it, they've converted to Agatha Christie.
Yeah, I think my whole group felt that way, and we've still got the group chat going, after the tour, and we were just texting about the new movie coming out about her disappearance, and they were all very defensive of her. They're like, I hope they don't do her dirty, like I hope they do justice to her, and it was cute to see them all defensive of Agatha. Absolutely. I love it.
Yeah, it's great. Yes.
Okay, so on the tour, we visited Torquay, Greenway, and Burr Island. For listeners who don't know those locations, can you paint a picture of why each one matters to understanding Christie?
I think that one is definitely one for me. Obviously, doing the walking tour here in Torquay to hear the story of her life is how it always should start, because it helps you understand why she wrote the way she did when she first started writing. The fact that she was such an observer of people. And it's all those people across society that she met that influenced her writing. But going to places like Greenway and going to Burr Island, even going to Cockington, which inspired her to write the Marple stories and became the inspiration for St Mary Mead. Each of those locations, you can find them in her books. And she really, really, like all the best writers really, has taken influence from her surroundings. So I think if they don't know those locations, they will actually know them without realising it. So, for instance, if they go to Greenway, which is very much the location in Dead Man's Folly, it's known as Nass House, that book becomes even more alive to you when you visited those locations. So having a chance to be there, immerse yourself in the places that meant so much to Agatha, the fact that she called Greenway the loveliest place in the world, it really connects your reading or your interest in the plays or the films, etc., with her birthplace, and seeing where she worked as a nurse, and the very fact that in Torquay is the place that she met the man that inspired Hercule Poirot. It really does come to life here.
And Greenway, just for those that don't know, was her home, right? Her.
Yeah.
She didn't.
Yeah.
Did she not write there? Like, I felt like that's what we learned when we were there, that she didn't really write there, but that was like more of her like holiday home.
Absolutely. She bought Greenway in 1938. And it very much was a sanctuary for her, really. So it was very much a family holiday home. They loved it. As I say, she described it as the loveliest place in the world. She did actually sort of read her manuscripts there. So sitting around the fireplace in the drawing room, which you may recall, when the family where they would play board games and all sorts of things. It very much was a place where she might read a manuscript to the family and share her latest plot with them. But it was a relaxation home. It was not her working home. But there is no doubt that it's probably the most important place in many ways, because having lost Ashfield, and she was distraught at the loss of Ashfield, the fact that it did get pulled down, her childhood home. It was Rosalind, her daughter, who recognised the importance that Greenway House, it actually passed to Rosalind, and following Rosalind's death, the house was bequeathed to the National Trust. So the National Trust in the UK looks after important houses all across the UK. I think they have something like 9,000 properties. And so it's there for everybody to enjoy and for everybody to visit. And so the real relevance of it is, if you visit it, which is definitely a must-do, it is like the family have just gone for a walk in the garden. It hasn't changed at all from when the family lived there. So if you really want to follow in Agatha's footsteps, then a visit to Greenway is really important.
Yeah, and it really is so gorgeous. Like, I can see why she loved it and called it the loveliest place. It's like right on the river, up on the hill, and it really is so pretty. And it really does feel like they just went out for a walk and you're just invading their house, because I don't know if they've restored it at all or if they've just left it, but it really is amazing.
They did a little bit of restoration, but not a huge amount. It was closed for a couple of years, I think, before it opened to the public, but really more so because the house was absolutely crammed full of their things. There were over 20,000 objects in that house.
Gosh.
Which is an extraordinary thing. I mean, I'm fairly confident I haven't got 2,000 objects in my house, let alone 20,000. So for the National Trust to sort through that and decide what they thought were the key things to leave on show, and there are still 12,000 objects on show. So it is absolutely Agatha Christie's home. So you definitely feel that you can. You feel her there. You absolutely feel like you're walking her in her first steps, for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot. I'm curious what they took out, because there's a lot.
There certainly is. And I think they do change a few things around a little bit, but not a huge amount. But that's rather lovely as well, I think. So, yeah, it's a really, really special place. So definitely not one to be missed.
Yeah. Do you want to tell us a little bit about Burr Island?
Yeah.
That was also amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. So Burr Island is probably my loveliest place in the world, if I'm honest. So Burr Island is, as you expect, an island, although it is a part-time island. So it's set just a few hundred metres off the South Devon coast, and it is just 25 or 26 acres in size, so quite a little island, and the tide comes in and out twice a day. So sometimes it's an island and sometimes it isn't, which sort of adds to the mystery. But it's a place that Agatha spent quite a bit of time. At the time, it was a hotel was built there in 1928, and it still is the finest example of an Art Deco hotel probably
It
in
really
Europe.
is. Yeah, it really is. You walk into the lobby and it's like you just feel like you've time traveled. It's so
You
incredible.
so do, and it's just an extraordinary place. And still, every night, everybody is in black tie and evening gowns for dinner. You know, it is absolutely sensational, this place. But Agatha knew the guy who owned it, a chap called Archie Nettlefold. He was a theatre impresario in London, so obviously became aware of Agatha through her writing, etc. And he actually built a little building on the island known as the Writers' Retreat, and Agatha wrote there. And we know that she wrote there, and it was a place that meant an awful lot to her. So even as a place, it's really important. But of course, it became so well known to everybody because you may know it as Soldier Island, or maybe you know it as Smuggler's Island. So depending on which novel you read. So, and then there were none. Her most famous novel of all time is very much set on Burr Island or Soldier Island. And Evil Under the Sun, another incredible novel that is also Burr Island, but Smuggler's Island to the rest of us. So, and that is weaved into her stories, and it's an extraordinary place. And I would say that is probably the place that gets the most emotive response from guests of all the Agatha Christie places, whether it's Dartmoor, Greenway, Cockington. Burr Island is probably where that's probably where I get my tissues out more than anybody at any other place, I would say.
I think it's also been featured in several TV shows and films too, so people recognize it. You know, I know as soon as I went, I was like, oh yeah, I've seen this, you know. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. The last the Suchet version of Evil Under the Sun was filmed there, and it is that one in particular. I think everybody says, "Oh my goodness, that's where the suntan lotion came thrown out of the window," or this is the bit where she came running up the beach because there was a body on the beach. You know, all those sorts of things. So yes, it's very recognisable, but it is the sheer sensational hotel that still exists today that makes it truly special.
Yeah, it really is amazing. And that's that whole cove in front of the hotel as well, and where you can swim. And yeah, it's just, it's incredible. We did afternoon tea there, and it was amazing.
Yeah, it is the best thing to do. There is no better place in the world, I'm going to be bold enough to say, to have an afternoon tea. No better place, because what a setting. Yeah,
I would agree. I would agree with that, and just that whole Art Deco, everything. Although we did have a really nice afternoon tea in Cockington, which I didn't even know about Cockington until we met up with Graham. And after our walking tour, he was like, "You should go to Cockington," and I was like, "What is that?" And he told us how to get there, and we walked over, and it's just the most darling little town, and we had the most darling little lunch, and it was amazing. So.
Yeah, it's a wonderful place, but. Just like Agatha, I'm a girl for the sea, so give me Beverly, and I have to say.
Absolutely. It was really amazing.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so of all the things that you've learned researching Agatha's life, what genuinely surprised you? Something that shifted your understanding of who she really was?
I think that one's a big one for me, because I obviously knew she was an incredible writer. I knew she was an incredibly successful writer. But what genuinely surprised me when I started reading about her life was her incredible talents. So the fact that this woman was fluent in French, the fact this woman was an incredible pianist, all those different things, her talents with poisons and her understanding of medical knowledge. It was. What really surprised me was the fact that she was what I would hate to use that word, but an incredibly accomplished woman. And so I think she's a complete icon for women, but possibly someone we would hate as a friend because she's just too darn good at everything.
I get that.
Yeah. We would love her and hate her in equal move, I think. But so yes, she was remarkable, just truly remarkable.
I think for me, I feel like I can relate to her a lot. Just the more I learn about her, just, you know, like her shyness, even though I don't seem shy, but I put on a good front when I'm, you know, around people, but I prefer to be home alone.
Yes.
Just
Yeah.
just that, and then also just her adventurous spirit. Like she was shy, but also like I'm just gonna go to Baghdad and go to an archaeological.
Absolutely.
Like that's totally me. Like I'm just like take me. I don't want to go to the grocery store, but take me to the Middle East. I want to go dig at an archaeological site. So I feel like I can relate to her in that way.
Yeah.
So.
But it sounds like you two would have been friends then, I
think
suspect.
so. I think so.
Yeah.
People would have just hated us both. So it's fine.
Yes. I think whatever she turned her hand to, she would have been good at.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Some people have said she could have been the prime minister of this country, and if she'd wanted to, if she got moved into politics, she probably would have been.
Yeah.
Right. It's because she was homeschooled.
Yeah. I think there's a lot to be said for that.
Okay, let's talk about Torquay as a literary place. So when Agatha fans are visiting Torquay for the first time, which places would you recommend that they see? We kind of already chatted about this, but
yeah. I mean, they would have to go, obviously, a little bit biased, obviously, but they have to go out with Graham on his walking tour.
They have to. They absolutely have to. I would never go or recommend anybody go without going on a walking tour with Graham.
Well, thank you, ladies.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
I mean, possibly, I do think it should be a legal requirement.
I think so.
Yeah, but I think, so visiting Torquay, they absolutely have to go out on the walking tour, see the pavilion, obviously go and sit with Agatha on the harbour side, which is probably makes the most photographed bench in the world, I suspect. Those are definitely things they need to see. In Torquay, they need to see Cookington. They need to go and see that incredible little village, which was the inspiration for St Mary Mead. So that's what I would say. If you're coming to Torquay for the first time, you have to do those things. And then I would expand it a little bit. So not far out to Greenway, just half an hour from here, Greenway House, her holiday home. Definitely do that. I would get guests up onto Dartmoor. I think we underestimate Dartmoor quite often, the influence in Agatha's life. The fact that she wrote her very first book there or completed it there is very significant. She always loved Dartmoor as a person. Picnics on Dartmoor were probably amongst one of her favourite things to do. And it's the wildness and extraordinary scenery up on the moors. You ladies, I don't think did Dartmoor, so next time.
Yeah, I think we need one more day there, and we could have done Dartmoor.
We need an extra day. Definitely need to do Dartmoor. And as the obvious one is then to extend it just a little bit further away, so just within an hour of Torquay is Barrow Island. So those are the must-do. Make it a legal requirement. Definitely Agatha fans.
I love it. Perfect. What do you think literary travel, walking in an author's actual footsteps, gives readers that simply rereading a book cannot?
I think in Agatha's case in particular, they will actually read and feel and see places that they do know without realising it. So there's a very easy example of that, something like the ABC Murders, which is one of my favourite books. The sea in the ABC Murders is all set in Churston in Torquay, and there is a particular beach. In fact, I was just swimming around the corner from it this morning, a place called Elbury Cove, and Agatha describes it in the book. She actually talks about the colour of the water and the pebbles on the beach, etc. And you can stand there and feel it, in those books. So I think walking in any author's actual footsteps really immerses people into their stories. Simple things like we took the steam train, didn't we, when you were here, over down to Greenway, and Agatha went on that train. That was the way she went to her house. And trains feature such a lot in her novels. So there is so much about walking in an author's footsteps that actually, you can read the books, but it makes you go home and want to read them again. Yeah,
absolutely. And, with the rest of my tour, doing all of the other authors, Beatrix Potter and Jane Austen and the Brontes, and walking on the moors where the Brontes walked, I think there's just, there's such a connection that you make to authors when you're in those settings. So, that's why all three of us do what we do, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And also, it's helpful for us, of course, that some of those locations feature so heavily in all her different films and different TV adaptations. So it has an extra thing. You're walking in their footsteps where they lived and breathed, but you're also seeing places that you've seen come to life on the television or on the big screen. So it's a double whammy, really. So
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
really quite special.
I think Toward Zero had just come out when we were doing our tour, so a lot of people were watching it at night on the tour. And then like we went to Burr Island, like I just watched an episode, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've seen this before. This is where the guy jumps off the cliff, and we climbed up to there, and it's just such a good connector. I love it.
It is. It really is.
Well, one of the things we do on the walking tour was that I showed guests a picture of Agatha with one of the 11 men who proposed to her. He was called Major Bolton Fletcher of the 17th Lancers, and he was quite a bit older. He was twice the age of Agatha, and there's a lovely picture of him standing on the pier at Torquay in his roller skates, and Agatha stood next to him holding a teddy bear, which we suspect he's given to her as a little love token.
Oh, we did. We recreated this photo with the teddy
Did
bear.
you? Yeah. And so I was able to show to you when he came out exactly where that photograph was taken, because we could see on the seats that and also the light as well behind us, the lamp behind us, indicated that that's exactly where Agatha Christie stood. So we got you to stand.
Yep,
there,
exactly where she stood.
Exactly where she stood.
Yeah.
And then take a photograph of you in 2025 standing there, and then you then had a picture of Agatha Christie stood there in 1910.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
literally in her footsteps.
Literally in the footsteps.
Yeah, and in the right way, so much of our physical landscape and geographical landscape here has not changed for the right reasons. So when you are walking in her footsteps here, you literally, as Graham just said, you can actually take almost the identical photograph, which is quite an extraordinary thing. So the architecture and the pavilion, the pier, all those places, they're still there. The place where she worked as a nurse, it's still there.
Yeah, it's
So I
impressive.
think that's quite special.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the only place that you can really do that these days too is Bath. If you see some like paintings from Jane Austen's time, and not a lot like architecturally has changed.
Not at all.
in
It's
the
a
city
beautiful-
center. So
Yeah, yeah. If you obviously Agatha Christie comes first for us, but Jane Austen's up there too.
we love her too. We love her too.
Yes, absolutely too.
Is there a Christie novel that you'd specifically recommend someone read before visiting to arrive with the right frame of mind?
Yes, I will jump in there, Graham.
Yes.
Sorry. I would say definitely read Dead Man's Folly, because if you're going to visit Greenway House, then you really should read Dead Man's Folly, because the description of it, the setting of it, the murders, you can absolutely walk in the footsteps. So read Dead Man's Folly if you've not read anything before and you're going to come to Torquay. I would say, of course, read And Then There Were None would be my second recommendation. So read that before you go to Burr Island or Soldier Island. I'm pleased to say that actually, of the several years that I've been doing this now, and I make a lot of visits to Burr Island, fortunately so far, and I am going to touch a little bit of wood, we've taken all tour guests onto the island, and every single one of them so far has come back. So nobody has died yet. It's pretty good. So yes,
Never say never.
No, never say never. But if they're going to read And Then There Were None, of all the places you expect nobody to come back from, that's the one.
Gonna lose a few guests.
Definitely.
I did buy a copy of Dead Man's Folly and get it stamped at Greenway, so that was
Greenway.
fun. That was fun to
Good.
see that.
Yeah, and it has some beautiful book covers as well. I think that's a particular favourite.
Oh
of mine.
yes, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, and it's really special actually, because when David Suchet versions of Poirot, which for me are the only versions of Poirot that should be seen, they actually filmed Dead Man's Folly at Greenway, and they filmed it last. So of all the different Poirots that there are, they actually deliberately filmed Dead Man's Folly as the final episode, so that they basically took it home for Agatha, which I think is a really special thing.
I didn't know that. Okay, I haven't seen that one yet, so I'm gonna have to go watch that now that I've been to Greenway. I love that.
You will love it. So yeah, it was filmed I think in 2013, and actually Sir David Suchet's script is actually in the house, but there's
cool.
a lovely photographic memories of him standing in front of the doorway at Greenway with his cane and his hat raised, when they'd finished filming to say, "There you are, Agatha. We brought it home."
We did it.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Okay, I'm gonna have to go watch that when we're done.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
Kent's Cavern would be another one I would add to the list.
Okay.
This is Agatha's father, Fred. He sponsored the archaeological digs at Kent's Cavern. Now, Kent's Cavern is the oldest building in the UK.
Oldest home.
The oldest home, sorry. The
Yeah.
oldest home, but it's a series of caves.
Yeah.
And they found a jawbone dating back over 40,000 years, which is why
Wow.
they can make this claim. And so our museum in Torquay was actually built to host all these artifacts that would be discovered. And this is where Agatha got her interest in archaeology. And the book that Agatha wrote, which is most closely connected to that, is called The Man in the Brown Suit.
Okay.
And
Add
so
that to my list too. That's interesting. That's where she got her love of archaeology. I didn't realize that
Yeah.
connection
Yes.
before. That's really
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's coming next for you two? Any new tours or new discoveries or directions that you're excited about? Tell us
Retirement.
what's going on with you guys. No, you're not allowed to retire
so.
from second
No.
retirement. I'm sorry.
No, not just yet. No, but I think it is actually. I mean, to be honest, we've started working more together than we used to do, so that's sort of new for us. We're certainly the Kent's Cavern, as you say. That's a fairly recent and new aspect of it.
yeah.
Graham now has, is now delighted to say that we now can take guests by special arrangement into the church where Agatha used to worship, which is something that is not generally open to the public as such, apart from obviously its services. So those are new and slightly different directions that we're thinking about, but we're always learning, and we'll certainly be heading up to the British Museum sometime after October. There's a period of 6 months where there's a huge Agatha Christie exhibition taking place at the British Museum in London. So once we've done that, who knows what might be added to our little tours, but some of them we've got to keep as a bit of a mystery, Vanessa.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
You don't want to give away too much.
Not too much, no.
One of the things we've done this year is we now work very closely with groups, and so you were one of the very first groups that I'd been involved with.
Glad I could bring you in.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely.
You let me in
Set the
gently.
bar.
And so now what we do is we encourage the guests to come and join us here in Torquay, so they'll book themselves into a hotel. So I will then go to the hotel and I then give a talk about Agatha Christie to them. We then jump on their bus and we then go down to the start point, which is Agatha's seats, and then we walk to the pier, which is only about a mile away. And then we go back onto the coach and we travel around Torquay to the places that people can't normally walk to. So places like, as Maria says, to the church, to the hospital where she worked, the pharmacy, where her home is, or her home was, which has now been replaced, the place that she used to go and attend cricket with her father. These are all the things we can see when we go out on the coach. And then they get taken to Kent's Cavern, where, as I say, they're met by the man in the brown suit. And then afterwards, they have a Devonshire cream tea. And that's the package, basically. So it's about 6 hours of Agatha Christie, from meeting them at the hotel to saying goodbye to them once they'll be taken back to their hotel after they've had this experience. And this has proven to be hugely popular. It really has taken off in a big way because people want more Agatha Christie. They want to see more touch points.
Yes.
And we can now give them that, which we haven't been able to do up until recently. So when you came out with me, you just went on the walking tour. But now if you came back, we could go to a lot more places than we did the first time round.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, we had a great time with you guys. It was so much fun.
Well,
Yeah,
Something.
thank you.
we loved it. We
Yeah.
loved it. You stayed long in our memory, actually, I have to say.
Well, we
You
did
actually-
swim. We did swim together. I feel like that was very bonding
That
activity.
was very bonding at 7:30 in the morning
Oh
on
my
a.
goodness.
It was, and the seat temperature I think was not that warm. So I tell everybody. In fact, I compare you to so many groups that come out now. I say, well, you're still not as good as the book club.
That's
because
right.
they
That's
came-
right.
came
That's the right
Bristol.
answer.
Actually, you're a very photogenic group as well, I have to say. So if you have a look at my website, you will.
You do pop up.
You will appear. You do appear on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were a good looking bunch.
Yeah.
Yes. The one I particularly like is where you're all bowing in front of Agatha's statue.
Yeah.
I love it. We had the best time with you. Well, something new coming up for me is this is my first public announcement, but I'm running a Death on the Nile Egypt book club tour. So
Wow.
yeah, I'm very, very, very excited. So I'll have to ask you for tips. But yeah, I'm taking a group to Egypt in 2026. So I'm really, really excited about that. So we're going to see all of the like typical sites that you would see on a trip to Egypt, but we're chartering a boat for 4 days and we're going to do a murder mystery dinner on the boat. And so I'm
Fantastic.
very, very excited. It's going to be
Yes.
going to be
That's
very
amazing.
That
fun.
would be
So,
incredible.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, good for you. Well, I'm sure the people that go on your tour have the most amazing time. That's for certain. Because, we saw the ladies only briefly, really, wasn't it? The walking tour, and then we went on to Greenway and Bear Island. But as I say, you genuinely have stuck with us, because there is no doubt that every person on that tour had the most amazing time. So yeah, whatever you're doing, keep going.
I appreciate it. You guys know I'm very passionate about this, and
We do, yes.
creating these experiences. And I couldn't do it without the help of people like you, my tour guides, and the real experts. I know vague general knowledge about authors, and I know a lot about travel. So I love connecting with people like you who can really give us the real dirt on all of the authors. So I'm really, really grateful for people like you.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay, we're almost done. If Agatha Christie, a few more questions. If Agatha Christie walked one of your tours today as a guest and not the subject, what do you think she would make of it all?
I think she would, well, to use a very British word, I think she'd be utterly flabbergasted. Because she famously said that she thought that within 10 years of her death, nobody would ever
Remember.
even think about her, remember her in any way. So the very fact that all these people are still talking about her, all these people still love her, all these people are willing to travel literally from the other side of the world to come and see where she was born, I think she would be utterly, utterly astonished.
I love that. I hope she's glad, that she's,
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, she's getting even more and more popular. So I hope that she would be glad and to see her
Yeah.
legacy carry on like this, because it really is
That's true.
I
amazing.
think so. Yeah, I think so. I think she's cherished. You don't use that word very often, but
Yeah.
I genuinely think the guests that we meet, they absolutely cherish her memory, and I think that's quite an accolade, actually.
I think so too.
There's a lovely little one-liner that Agatha, anyone who met Agatha Christie said you couldn't help but like her. She was like everyone's favourite aunt, as English as Buckingham Palace and cream teas. There we go. That's Agatha Christie for you.
Yeah.
I just finished reading a book. It was called The Violin Maker's Secret. Nothing to do with Agatha Christie, but I like 3/4 through the book. It's like about this magical violin. I don't know. It was really good, but the violin ends up somewhere in the Middle East. I can't remember. And one of the people that is in the book meets Agatha Christie. It was just so fun to she just like pops up in my life randomly like that, She just
Yeah,
I just
imagine. Yeah.
love all the
Well, that's
little
the thing.
tie-ins.
Yeah. Yeah, you've only got to turn certainly the television on, or certainly in the UK, and I'm sure it's the same in other places. But certainly every day, you could almost guarantee that she pops up as a quiz question or something like that.
Yeah.
Just everybody is still talking about her, and I
Yeah.
think that's quite remarkable.
Yeah, it's just a part of our culture now. Just so great.
Totally.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. The only sad thing is that in this country, Agatha Christie is not held in the same esteem like other authors are. Mainly because the kids at school now, they're still reading Shakespeare, Chaucer, Dickens. Agatha has not made it onto the curriculum.
Well, she's-
I think you might be able to do it at when you're 17, 18, but
Yeah.
when you're 11, 12, 13 years old, you don't read Agatha Christie. So the one of the people I took on the tour today is an English teacher in Australia. And he specifically came on the tour because he had already taught his children at the age of the students at the age of 15. They've read, and then there were none. And now he's going to go back with renewed enthusiasm to get them to read more.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
It doesn't happen in this country, so we get children from overseas coming here. So next week I've got a group from the Czech Republic. I've then got a group from 2 groups from France coming in. These are 40, 50 children aged between 13 and 15 who are reading Agatha Christie in English.
Yeah.
In
Wow.
English.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, I mean, we don't even have children this year in the UK at that age who are reading Agatha
Yeah.
Christie.
Yeah.
It's appalling that this is allowed to happen, but
Well, I think if it was on our school report, we should say that UK does need and must do better.
it needs to
But,
be a
yeah.
lot better. Yeah, it's
But
Maybe
we
in
must-
another 100 years should become more of a classic and
Yeah.
inspired reading.
We'll
Yes.
wake up to her. Yeah.
I don't know that we're reading Agatha Christie in school either here, but I need to get my kids started on that because I don't know
Yeah,
I don't know that
absolutely.
they've ever
Yes.
read one.
Yeah, at
Yeah.
the moment, it's the parents who are responsible for encouraging their children to read it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not the schools, which is sad.
yeah, we've got to do better.
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay, will you let us know where our listeners can find you?
Well, certainly good. I'll go first because that's
yeah. Ladies first.
Ladies first.
Yeah, absolutely. So if they want to find my website, it is English Riviera customtours.co.uk. And on there are the links to my social media. So Instagram, Facebook is where you would find me. And Graham?
And I'm English Riviera Walking Tours.co.uk.
Okay, and if they want to book you together, kind of like we did a walking tour and Burr Island and Greenway.
Yeah, if they find one, they always find the other. So not
Okay.
a problem.
Yes. Or they can just, when they book with one of us, they can say, "Oh, can you pass this on to?"
Yeah, absolutely.
your-
All right,
Yeah.
all right, perfect. Yeah, I think we found Graham. I just found Graham's website first, I think, because I was just looking for a walking
right.
tour, and we were going to do
Yeah.
Greenway and Burr Island on our own, and then he offered
Yeah.
your services, which I was very grateful for. So we're always happy to have another woman tour guide. So I was very
Absolutely.
grateful.
That's an upsell, isn't
Yeah,
it?
that's definitely yeah.
Smart, very smart. I love it. Okay, let's just do a little fun thing to close. Just a little
Okay.
rapid fire questions. Okay.
Okay.
Maybe we'll go Maria and then Graham because you probably have different answers. Okay,
Okay.
so Maria, Poirot or Miss Marple?
Oh, good question. Well, there are obviously a lot more Poirots, but if I had to choose, I'd say Miss Marple.
Yeah.
Probably because, well, I'm a little bit curious like Miss Marple. If I could, I'd spend my life looking out the window, watching what's going on outside of the world. So I think I identify with Miss Marple, probably. So, yeah. Yeah.
Well,
What would you say,
I'm
Graham?
on the fence, I have to say,
Are you?
Vanessa. And the reason for this is that, on the one hand, Sir David Suchet was educated at the same school as our children.
Yes.
That's
good point.
right.
So that's the reason that he gets a tick in the box.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, the last remaining Miss Marple lives in Torquay.
Oh, I don't know that I knew this.
So
Yeah.
that's tough.
I'm split. I'm
can't
afraid
choose.
I can't choose.
Okay.
No.
Do you know her? Are you friends with her? Do you see her around?
I've met her on several occasions
Yeah?
and introduced myself as, "Hello, I am the tour guide for Agatha Christie. I know who you are, but you don't know who I am."
But she is absolutely lovely.
Yeah, she's
isn't
lovely.
She? But
She's
she wants to live quietly, and we respect that
Yes,
completely.
yes.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, Maria, best Christie novel for a complete beginner.
Oh, for a complete beginner. Well, I guess you've probably guessed I quite like Burr Island, so I'm going to go And Then There Were None.
Good choice.
Yeah.
Graham, what do you think?
Again, that's the one I recommend to my guests, along with The Murder of Roger Ackroyd. But the one I particularly like, I thought it was very, very clever, is the ABC Murders. Because all the way through the book, you believe that the killer is obvious.
Yeah.
And it's only right at the end that you realise it's not who you think it's going to be.
Oh, I haven't read that one yet, so
Oh,
maybe that'll be my
Yeah.
next book.
And it's
Okay.
inspired by Bay here.
Yes. So the sea is very much here.
the
So
sea is
definitely
Churston.
add that one to your list, Vanessa.
Okay. All right, Maria, what do you always have in your pocket on tour? or bag. It doesn't have to be a pocket.
Oh, yes, I'm going to be in the Miss Lemon bag, actually.
Yes, your Miss Lemon bag. Maria has
Yeah.
this adorable lemon bag.
It has to be carried with me everywhere. So what do I always have in my bag or on my touring pocket? I always have lemon sweets, just in case of a sore throat. That's always important, and to share with guests. Lemon flavoured water, of course, because why wouldn't I? And I always have a lemon towel, actually, in case we get caught out by great British weather and I have to give Agatha a little quick wipe before anybody sits on the bench. So, or they get their
so
feet
smart.
wet. When we get the tide wrong at Bear Island, it comes in
yes.
quite handy for that too. So, yes. And they're all very lemon flavoured and very lemon branded in my
I love
case.
it. I love an on-brand queen. We love that.
It's got to be done. Got to be done.
Speaking of Burr Island, sorry, Graham, and
right.
and the tide, we didn't talk about the sea tractor, which we did not get to take
Never.
because the tide was out. So I'm
Yes.
determined to hit Burr Island when the tide is in, and I have to take the sea tractor, which is
Well, it is a must do, I have to admit. I mean, Miss Lemon is very efficient and organises great tours, but the tide is one I cannot control. But the sea tractor is great fun. It's an extraordinary contraption. For those who have never seen it, it is like a monster tractor, basically, that goes through the sea. Well worth looking up on YouTube, actually. Have a look
Yes.
at it.
one of the first emails I got from Graham when I booked this tour. He was like, "Oh, depending on the tide, we might have to take the sea tractor," which was the very first time I'd ever seen those words put together, and I was like, "Huh?" And I literally, the first thing I went to do was went to Google and was like, "What is a sea tractor?"
Yeah, absolutely. It does throw people. It's actually extraordinarily noisy as well, actually. So that catches people like. But it is the best way to travel. But if you're a little bit faint-hearted, do not look up the version of YouTube where they really shouldn't have taken it across the sea. But I'll leave it at that.
I have
It's the
seen that
best
one.
£2.50 you'll pay spend.
Yeah.
It's £2.50 each way.
Yeah, not with Miss Lemon.
Not with this lemon, all right. But our guests normally pay £2.50
Yeah.
each way,
Yeah,
and you won't get a better
no.
bang for your buck than
No.
going on the sea tractor for £2.50.
But even better, if you travel with Miss Lemon, it's included in your tour, so it's all
Love
good.
it.
But yeah,
Love it.
Yeah.
I'm determined to hit the sea tractor next
yeah,
time.
we will do our best to work the tides for you.
All right, Graham. Graham, what's always in your pocket?
Well, there's always there's coins, coins, and the reason for there being coins, well, there's two reasons. One is that the toilets that we use halfway, the council here insists that we have to pay 30 pence for them. So
important.
Yeah.
So my guests don't pay 30p to have a pee in Torquay when they are with me.
Did you just make that up?
I was a poet
What makes you
and I
think
didn't
that?
know it. So that's one of the reasons I carry coins, and the other reason is, and I probably told you this story, Vanessa, about how Poirot, David Suchet created the Poirot Walk.
Yes.
And the coin comes in.
And the coin comes into that story.
Yeah.
That's right.
Perhaps we should leave that one there as well
Yes.
and just leave the mystery open.
You'll have to visit Torquay and have a walking tour
And
with
do the
Graham to
tour.
find out what the coins are for.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. That one's keeping quiet. I don't think it's for broadcast. Yeah.
Okay, Maria, do you have a favorite tea?
A favorite tea? Well, as
Yeah.
in a cup of tea or
Yeah.
or an afternoon tea? Cup of tea.
Cup of tea.
I would just English breakfast. That's
Yes,
straightforward for me. Yeah.
Ditto.
Both of you English breakfast. All right. Simple
Yes.
taste. I love it. I love
Yes,
it.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Well,
Would
thank
have
you.
done it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for
Caroline.
joining us. It was so fun to have you
Thank
guys
you.
and chat
No,
with you.
it's been good
And
fun to love it. Yes,
Yeah.
and thank you for inviting us onto your show.
thank you
Been
for
great fun.
giving me 2 hours of your time. My guests still talk about you guys. I just went to Peru with my friend Marcy, who was on the tour, and we were
Yes,
still chatting
the
about you
Marcy.
guys. You just
Wow.
left such
Well,
an
we-
impression on us, and it was just such a good time. And you really made that whole part of the tour for everybody. So I
Right.
appreciate you guys
Okay.
and appreciate you
That's
chatting with me. And hopefully we can connect again and try to get out to Torquay in 2027.
If anybody wants to do, if they're a book tour person, they really should go with you guys because I saw your Jane Austen stuff that you did as well, and it's extraordinary. So I think I
We
want
had
to
a good time.
Yeah,
Yeah, you should come with us. Meet us in Egypt for Death on the Nile.
there you go. There you go.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good
Thanks,
night.
guys.
Thank you.
Okay,
Goodbye.
cheers. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much for listening to the Britlit Book Club. If you're enjoying the show, please take a moment to leave a review. It truly helps us reach more British literature lovers just like you. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can find us on Instagram at The Book Club Tour. and head to our website, thebookclubtour.com, to see upcoming book club tours. Well, my tea's getting cold, so until next time, keep reading and stay curious.